Alright, this one hopefully shouldn't be too long, but we're going to try to knock out all the neutrals in one big swoopy here. I'll try to just kind of go. A lot of these aren't worth spending much time on. So let's just dig into it. Swamp Dragon Egg is another egg. It's like Runic Egg would be the closest comparison, but drawing a card is typically going to be a lot better than a random dragon. So it's possible there's a deck that wants like both, but Runic Egg just seems like a better version of this. I guess that's wild, but in Standard, I don't see it that way. I'm spending too much time on it. The card does not seem good. It's cool, though. I don't mind it existing. This is a good way to do a bad common. This is also a good way to do a bad common. This is not... Swamp Leech is not very good. It's like Voodoo Doctor, but, I mean, it's a beast at least. And, you can get multiple hits of healing, I guess. Not a very good card. You probably don't put it in your deck. Vicious Scale Hide is a bad way to do a bad common. 2 mana, 1/3, Lifesteal Rush. So the Wasp is a lot better as a rush minion, and the Wasp is not that good. Probably. Like, it requires very specific meta. So this is also just probably not even close to as... Like, this is just not good. This is just not good. It doesn't heal for enough. It doesn't contest enough. It's just not enough. It's just bad. That being said, these two cards together, interesting point. They're very good for the hero card, for the Hunter hero card. So before there was only the Bloodworm, right? But now we have more Lifesteal Beasts, which means a higher chance of getting Lifesteal on a Zombeast and being able to stabilize when you're down on life, which is really important. So these two cards are not good. This one's better than this one, so I shouldn't group them like that, but they're just not great cards. You don't put these in your deck, I don't think. This one maybe, but I doubt it. But for the hero power, excellent addition to the game. Lost Spirit, this is an interesting one. 2 mana, 1/1, Death Rattle, give your mains +1 attack. If you're going wide, it's pretty good. One interesting place we might see this is Paladin, because it's a 2-drop, right? So you can pull it out with your Call to Arms. You don't really want to spend 2 mana on this, I don't think. And you don't play it on turn 2, because you need a board. But if you just summon a board with Call to Arms, and you get this without even having to pay for it, and it's just out there, like, it's not very impactful itself, but then it dies and buffs your other guys. That's like the one use I could see for it. I think there's better options, but it's interesting. It's an AoE buff, it's a Death Rattle that's interesting, and it's cheap. I don't know. We'll see. Spell Shifter, I'm better dollar on. The issue is that you either play spell damage to kill your opponent, so like Malygos or something like that, or you're just playing it for like one particular thing, and then you would rather get value back. So like Blood Mage Thalnos is a lot better because you can just play that for the one spell where you need the spell damage. You get that, and then you get a card back. Spell Shifter sticking on the board is not generally going to be much of an upside, but it's a really cool card. As a 1/4, it's much better than a 4/1. I guess that's kind of like a downside, honestly, but I don't know. It's interesting. Blackwald Pixie is actually really good. This guy's just really good. Spider Tanks are great. Refreshing Hero Powers is great when your Hero Powers are powerful. So what's powerful Hero Powers? Warlock Hero Power, once upgraded. The Death Knight Warlock Hero Power. Hunter Hero Power, although there you generally want to be playing a Zombeast right after you make it, so you can just keep playing big things. But still, I mean, that's there. The Baku upgraded Hunter Hero Power. This is like a turn 7 fireball their face kind of thing. Yeah, Warrior tanking up, gain a bunch of armor. Like, we don't need to run through all of it. There's a lot of powerful hero powers in the game. Being able to do that twice in a turn can be quite strong. And, like, even if you're not getting the effect, it's a spider tank. So this is a very, very powerful card. Hitch Clan Thug. We've actually seen a lot of these cards, these neutral 3-drops that are really good in Rogue. This is the best one so far. So the last one would be like the skittering something. 3 mana, 3/5. Distracting noises. Can't attack unless you've attacked. This one has no downside. This is what's notable about this. This has no downside whatsoever. It's just an on-curve 3-drop. And the upside is whenever your hero attacks +1/+1. So if you're a rogue, you have your weapon out, you play this. 3 mana, 4/4, no downside. And if it sticks again, it can become a 5/5. So like in these kinds of like minion-oriented rogues we've been seeing, and that we might see more of, if the test deck kind of gets built in that way. I mean, this just seems super solid. Like, it's hard to beat a 3 mana 4/4 with really no downsides. You could also look for it in like Druid and stuff. It's harder to use in other classes. I could see it working elsewhere, but this is really a rogue card. Like, let's be real. This is a rogue card, and I think it's actually a really good one. Yeah. Marshdrake, 3 mana 5/4 dragon, but it summons a poisonous 2/1. Oh no! So you want to be able to kill the 2/1. So I don't know. It's weird. It's like obviously pushed a 3 mana 5/4 dragon. It's like, damn. But when you factor in the cost of removing the poisonous minion, which you have to do, right? Like, it's required. Unlike other things that have summoned things for your opponent, this one's, you pretty much have to deal with it right away. That's a pretty big downside. It's like, it's kind of hard to do that. You can look at Rogue in the same way. I could just dagger their 2/1. So instead of a 4/4, I'm getting a 5/4, but I'm taking 2 damage. Instead of being able to swing into something else or deal 1 damage to my opponent. And then it's always a 5/4 instead of maybe being a 5/5 if they can't kill it. And if they could kill this as a 4/4, they can kill this as a 5/4. So like the one place I can really see this working, this is just better. In Mage, you can shoot it right away, but then you're playing a 5 mana 5/4. So I don't know. I don't see the Marshdrake being that good. But I mean, it's an overstated 3-drop, so maybe. Pumpkin Peasant, not good. 2/4 lifesteal's bad. 4/2 lifesteal's also bad. In both modes are inferior to Earthen Ring. So in most situations, both modes are inferior to Earthen Ring, I should say. It's not strictly better or strictly worse. Ravencaller, this is one of my favorite cards in the set. Just design-wise. So it's basically a 1-drop stat-wise, but you're paying 3 for it, and you're getting 2 more 1-drops in your hand. So you're getting a bad 1-drop. You're playing a really bad 1-drop for 3 times the price, and then getting 2 other 1-drops that also might be bad. So that sounds really bad, but if you can have like synergistic uses for this, it's very strong potentially. Like, it increases your hand size. So if you're trying to do like the hand druid thing for some reason, this can go over there. It's more 1-drops for Quest Hunter if you're trying to do that for some reason. It's just more minions in general for any sort of deck that just wants to play stuff. It's 3 minions for the price of 1 for Hagatha. I think I'm going to try this as a 1-of for a bit in my first build of the deck until I convince myself that it's not actually that good. But I really like it. You just need a really strong reason to play it because the cost is so high. You're spending 3 for a 2/1. That's fucking horrible. A lot of times don't even spend 1 on a 2/1 with no effect. So that's bad. But the ability is very cool. And if you synergize it just right, I mean, very, very cool. Actually, and this is a battle cry that's good with whatever the other shaman legendary is, the Spiggle Sploggle. Yeah. So it kind of synergizes with both of those legendaries. That might be a use there. Anyways, Tangle for Mystic, it's basically a spell slinger, but it gives you 2 drops instead of spells. That means... So Spell Slinger was a pretty good card in Tempo Mage. This is neutral, so more tempo decks can use it, more aggressive decks can use it. And it's better for you. You can use 2 drops better as an aggressive player than your opponent can use 2 drops against you. And the idea behind this effect being good, if anyone isn't familiar with Spellslinger, is yes, you're both benefiting from it, but if you're the aggressor, you're going to run out of cards faster, right? So you're dumping your cards, and your Spellslinger or Tangle for Mystic is giving you more stuff to dump onto the board to kill your opponent with, whereas your opponent, as the slower deck, probably still has too many cards in their hand to play them all. So you're giving them more options, but they can't play it all at once. They just don't have the mana or the time. So that's the idea. And then it's a Spider Tank. Spider Tanks are good. Walnut Sprite is just... Yeah, this card makes sense. 3 mana, 3/3. Slap the new keyword on it. It makes sense, right? That was a good day at work, whoever did that one. It's not that great. It's not terrible. Like, for 3, it's whatever. For 6, it's whatever. For 9, it's okay. But it's not that... it's not an offensively bad card. It's just like... Where do you put this? I don't know. But yeah, makes sense. Felsoul Inquisitor. I looked at this and I thought it was actually good. And I apologize for that. Because the idea is that if you're not playing Q-Block, but you want to play a Control Warlock, what you do is you play Taunt Demons every step of the way up until your hero card. So you play Voidwalker, Homunculus, take a pit stop for Despicable Dreadlord, which doesn't have Taunt, but is great. Curve up to Voidlord eventually. Drop that hero card, summon your wall of taunts, grind your opponent out, have a good time. And this would fit into that, but, does it? It doesn't really, does it? 4 mana, 1/6, terrible. Terrible. Lifesteal doesn't make it really any better, because you're only going to heal for, 2. 2 3/2s are going to swing into this, and it's dead. And you healed for 2 and killed nothing, and slowed them down slightly. Bad card. It's just bad, I think. It's cool to get Lifesteal Taunt on a neutral card, plus it's a demon. So it's just a cool combination of elements, but I don't think it's done in a way that's going to be impactful. Swift Messenger, though, this is a card that I don't think is getting the attention it deserves. 4 mana, 2/6 rush, and it flippy flops, right? So don't look at this as a minion with a bad stat line, which is the gut instinct is 4 mana 2/6, 4 mana 6/2, Look at it as a spell, okay? Against fast decks, decks with lots of really small minions, you play this, in its 2/6 form to instantly swing into something, killing it probably, and then on later turns, it'll leave something behind. They can trade into more stuff. So it's instantly kills something small and then starts killing other small stuff unless it's dealt with. And then against decks that play big things, one at a time, you just fireball a thing. You play it as the 6/2 and instantly fireball it, and you're happy. So it's a removal spell. It's a neutral removal spell that's good in either mode against fast things. You want to, clear off a bunch of stuff against the other thing. You blobby blobby. It's even positioned well because it starts off as a 2/6. So if you draw it, you can play it immediately against a paladin or something, where it's very important to act immediately. So it's even ordered correctly. If this is good, I don't know where you put this, but it's just notable that it's okay neutral single target removal, which isn't something we get a lot of. And the new Curator, if you're running that in your deck, just throw like one of these in. It's a rush minion, you'll pull it off of that. And it's not that bad. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think it's actually pretty solid. Unpowered Steambot is not good, though. This card looks so bad. This card looks so bad. Arcanosmith was this, and you also got a 3/2. And that card saw almost no play. I think there was like a rogue list that used it for a little bit. But not really. It was like a super fringe meme list. Yeah, Arcanosmith was really cool and not good enough and way better at this than this is. Do not play this card. Clockwork Automaton. So the only place I can really think this goes is in Warlock. For 2 mana, you fireball something and then heal for 12. For 2 mana, you fireball something and then heal for 12. So you put this as a one-of in any deck with the Warlock hero card, I think. Because, yeah, it's a 5 mana 4/4 and that's trash, so you don't want to. But you probably do want to fireball something and heal for 12 at some point. Like, why not, right? Yeah. Rotten Apple Bomb, just a solid defensive option. It's not like a standout thing, but it's a bit of healing and taunt, neutral, reasonable 5-drop. This would be a lot better if N'Zoth was still around. And I think in Wild, you can play like this and Sludge Belchers. I think Sludge Belchers better, but why not play both? Darkmire Moonkin, I have no idea why they keep making these cards. So, as we explained before, it was spell damage. You either want to play it with like Malagos to kill your opponent in an OTK, or, and I guess Evolved Kobold also worked for that to a limited extent. Or you want to play it with like one spell, and so you want a cheap thing like Thalnos. This is neither of those. It's just a big clunky thing that just sticks around and doesn't do anything. I mean, it's hard for them to kill it, I guess. It doesn't look good. I don't know. Somebody is going to give this more of a chance than I'm giving it, and it might turn out to be good. Because it's like, it is hard to remove. If it sticks around for you to cast a bunch of spells with it, it could add up over time. But it does not look good. Furious Etten, it's basically Bog Creeper. They're pretty much even. It's more health, less attack. Sometimes that's better, sometimes that's worse. Bog Creeper saw a very small amount of play in Shaman. With, resummoning stuff. So this can also do that. That's basically it. I mean, it's not bad. It's fine. Sometimes you just want a big taunt. There he is. That's your new Bog Creeper. It's basically the same card. Wormguard, if you're holding a dragon game, +1 attack and taunt. 7 mana, 3/11. That's a really fucking weird stat line. Like, everything about this card is weird. Like, it almost even doesn't even look like a real Hearthstone card. It's like some fan-made weirdness. It's just fucking weird, man. It's such a weird card. 4/12 taunts are really good. 7 mana, 4/12 taunt. That's really, really big and taunty. But you have to be holding a dragon. I mean, a 3/11 is not the worst thing ever. But it's not good. I don't think you'd just put a vanilla 3/11 in your deck. So you have to be holding a dragon. It is not itself a dragon. I think if this were a dragon, it would actually be pretty reasonable. But since it's also not a dragon, you can only have so many big cards in your deck. Right? And most of those are going to be dragons if you're trying to run a dragon deck. So just run like Primordial Drakes. You can run both, but like, is it really worth adding 2 more 7-drops to your deck that's already running double Primordial Drake and who knows what else? Probably not. Cauldron Elemental. This card's really cool. Your other elementals are big. So the idea is you play this in a deck that has lots of elementals on the board already. And then they get to push, it's a Savage Roar. They get to push a lot of damage. But it's persistent. And it's linked to this big old 7/7. And he's also an elemental. So if that deck exists, I think this card's really, really solid there. Like, it gives you a win condition. You pull ahead on the board, and then you snowball that board into killing your opponent. And then they also have to answer the 7/7. So it's good. Deranged Doctor. This card is also good. Weirdly good. So 8 mana, 8/8, Battle Cry, restore 8 health to your hero. Yeah, it's more expensive than Healbot, which is what a lot of people are going to say. This is a lot more expensive than Antique Healbot. I get that. But Antique Healbot didn't have a body. It was a 3/3. It just died to, like, everything. This is an 8/8. This is a significant body. Heals you for 8. Ragnaros Lightlord was played a lot for the chance to heal you for 8. Right? I mean, yeah, Lightlord had repetitive healing. And sometimes you wanted to heal your other minions up. But this is guaranteed to heal you right in your face the turn you play it every time, and people lose games to Lightlord not doing that. I've lost many games to Lightlord not doing that back in the day. So, plus this is neutral, so this card's great. I mean, if you need a big healing guy who's a giant, you get that guy. Good job. Alright, neutral rares. Just keep on chugging. Phantom Militia is solid. It's a lot like Serenite Chain Gain. So you can play it, it's just a tentacle. You play 2 of them, it's worse than Serenite Chain Gang for 6. It's a lot worse than playing them for 4, obviously. But you have the option to play 3 of them turn 9 or later, which is pretty cool. I don't know, it's pretty cool. It might see play in some places. The notable combos like the Glinda Portal stuff, or really just Portal in general. You actually don't need Glinda for that because it's already has Echo. So you just play Unstable Portal, and then these cost 1. So you can play Unstable Portal and like 5 of these. So basically, if you can discount your shit, this is pretty cool. And also, it might be pretty good in the Shaman deck. Because, it's just taunt minions. They're helping you drag out the game, and it's 3 spells. So, cool. Life Drinker. Hit your opponent for 3. Take it. It's a 3/3 beast. Costs 4. It's really cool. I don't know what wants this. I don't know who wants to be hitting the opponent for 3 and healing. But this is a really cool card. Honestly, if it's just 4 mana 3/3, deal 3 to your opponent as a beast, that's almost good enough to just be a thing. This extra upside doesn't really matter, but it's like a little bit of niceness on top. I don't think this is good enough. I don't think this is good enough to see see play in any sort of deck, but it's an interesting card. It's cool. Mad Hatter, it's a bomber that buffs guys. So you play this in a deck that's going to make lots of dudes because you want the hats to hit your dudes. So you fill the board, you play this, it's a 4 mana 3/2, and then one of your guys, or you get +3/+3 spread across your guys. If you have exactly one guy in play, let's say you trade, your opponent has a minion, you have 2 minions, you trade 2 of them off, then you just play this, your remaining guy gets +3/+3. That's not an unrealistic scenario, and that's actually really strong. This card's really strong when it gets your guys. The problem is sometimes it's not going to get your guys. So it's just a matter of how often that's an issue. And zoo decks have a lot of tools, so it might not be good enough, but this card is good. Night Prowler, 4 mana 3/3. It was the only dude. It's a 6/6. So you trade with your opponent's guy and you play a 4 mana 6/6. Trading to clear the board happens a lot in Hearthstone. So if that's happening a lot for you, play 6/6s. If it's not, then don't. Scale Worm. If you're holding a dragon, gain +1 attack and rush. So 4 mana 5/4 rush is really, really good. It's really, really good. Is it good enough to make Dragon Tribal work again? I don't know. 4 mana 5/4 rush though is really, really good. It's just terrible if you're not holding a dragon. Witchwood Piper. 4 mana 3/3. Draw a minion from your deck with the lowest mana cost. I don't know what you do with this, but I love it. It's pretty much equal with Gnomish Inventor. 2/4, 3/3. Same. This you kind of know what you're getting though, and you can build around it. So I love this card. Very cool design. Don't know what to do with it, but yeah, very cool. Chief Inspector should have been printed years ago. Yeah, destroy all enemy secrets. A 5 mana 4/6 is like, that's on curve. So you get an on curve 5-drop that just removes your opponent's secrets. This is like a one of in any deck in Wild. I think any deck that cares about Ice Block in Wild, you just put this in. It's like, it's fine. We've been playing 6 mana 4/6s that don't really do anything for, half a year now. And it's been fine. This costs 1 less. You use it to remove Ice Block. That's basically why it exists. In Standard, I don't know how much it'll matter. It depends on how many secrets there are, right? But like this is the first good piece of secret removal we've ever seen. Yeah. Witchwood Grizzly. This card is fucking awesome. 5/12 taunt, lose 1 health for each card in your opponent's hand. If you play it against aggro, they're not going to have many cards. So you don't really lose much, and you get a 3/12 taunt. And they can't rebuke this, which is the important thing. They can't just rebuke and then have you not play a Grizzly. You're playing the fucking Grizzly. You're going to eat the life loss, and they're going to have to trade their entire board into it, and it's still going to be some Grizzly left. This card's amazing. Fuck Paladin. This card's amazing. Excited to play some Grizzlies, man. Ghanaian Royal Guard. It's so expensive. It's like when it flips, you can kill anything, and then they have to deal with it. But it's like that's not worth 8 mana. It's definitely not worth 8 mana as a 3/8. The only synergy I could think of with this is like Master Oakheart. You put this as a one of to pull out. And that's really powerful, but then you can't play like any other 3-attack minions, and you've got a Ghanaian Royal Guard in your deck that you're going to sometimes draw on accident. And that sucks. Baleful Banker. So this is Manic Soulcaster, but it's neutral, and it costs 2 instead of 3. Manic Soulcaster saw play in Reno Mage back in the Gadgetzan meta. The main purpose was to extend your longevity in fatigue games and to put more value back in your deck. So you shuffle in an extra Reno, extra Kazakhans, whatever you need, and you're just you have a bit more to go before you hit fatigue. Very powerful effect. Making it neutral means it's going to see more use elsewhere. It's just a great card. It'll see play, definitely. It's like you don't play this against like aggro, but like it's a 2 mana 2/2, so you just like drop it and it's just something and it's whatever. So it doesn't hurt you against aggro, and then in the slower games you can duplicate your big powerful things while taking longer to hit fatigue. Nightmare Amalgam, this is one of the coolest cards in the set. I'm really glad they finally printed something like this. So it's a Spider Tank. It's not strictly better than Spider Tank. It gets hit by like all the crabs and like Hemmet and stuff like that. So yeah. But It enables some really cool crossover archetypes here. So it triggers all your stuff. If you played an elemental, you triggered this, it counts as, you can Houndmaster it. It gets buffed by Murlocs. It gets buffed by Pirates. You can eat it with Totem Cruncher and feel real stupid. It's just awesome. It's just awesome. It does all the things. I think there's something else I want to say about this card, but I don't know. Maybe that was it. I don't know. It's just fucking awesome. I love this card. Voodoo Doll. Yeah, neutral, 3 mana, kill anything. It is scary. It's a scary effect. It's really slow. I think the main problem. It's really slow. Compare this to Corruption. Corruption costs 1 mana and has seen basically no play. I get this one you can trigger immediately if you have something to do that with, but I don't know. Generally, stuff that your opponent can react to is not that great. So, like, you choose a minion, and then they just trade with it or something, right? And then it's not as good, or maybe does nothing even. Yeah, I don't know. Witch's Cauldron. I'm not saying this card is bad, by the way. I think this card actually could be really strong. But I don't think it's as scary as it looks. Just based on previous cards that do similar things not being very good. Excuse me. After a friendly minion dies, get some shit. You don't care about that. Don't play this card. If you have a bunch of stuff, you don't want random shaman spells. Random shaman spells are good. We already talked about this. But if you have a bunch of stuff that you're trading away, play Cult Master. Or buff their attack and don't trade them away and just kill your opponent. Don't play this card. Very cool design. Don't play it. Sandbinder, draw an elemental from your deck. I mean, it's great. Gnomish Inventor that pulls an elemental. If you want to pull out like specific elementals, then I think that's probably a better use than just putting it in an elemental deck. But, I mean, it could be good there too. But I think pulling out specific guys is probably better. Very cool. I love these tutor effects. I want more. Muck Hunter is a 5/8. Summons 2/1 Muck monsters for your opponent. 5/8 Rush is really, really, really strong. I don't think the 2/1s are that big a downside, honestly. It's like a 5/4 if you think about it that way. But it's a little bit worse in that they can trade into us stuff instead of just hitting that. But it's also a little bit better in that you can do stuff first. One thing I want to try is a deck with like this and the 6-drop Etten and Mind Control attacks. Some of these things that like fill my opponent's board with stuff and then I just like take stuff. I don't know. I think the card's pretty okay. It's not like mind-blowing, but I think it's honestly just pretty fine. You just need to have a plan to deal with the 2/1s in any capacity. It doesn't even have to be a great plan. Just like, you know. Mozzie Horror, 6 mana, 2/7. Destroy some shit. Comes down a little bit late for that. The main uses I can see for us is like it shits on Paladin and it shits on Spreading Plague and it shits on Voidwalkers. So basically all the annoying stuff, all the annoying tokens that all the different classes are spamming right now, it shits on them. And like a lot of those are taunts, so you can just get through the taunts. So you might even see this as like a tech card in some aggro decks. It's interesting. It's a cool card that exists. I don't think it's very powerful. I think you need a strong reason in the meta to run it. You don't just like throw it in any deck. You need a purpose to it. But if that purpose is fulfilled, then it's very powerful. This one's not. It's a Baron Geddon, but it's conditional. It's a hard condition to meet, honestly. This card looks bad. This card also looks really bad. So my understanding is that the splitting saplings also split into 1/1s. So it's like 12/12 stats, but it's so fucking slow. 8 mana 4/4. Don't do that to yourself. We've had cards like this before. Wobbling Runts is a 6 mana 2/6 that splits into 3 2/2s. So that's like a shitload of stats for 6 mana. That's crazy, man. That's so many stats. The card was never any good. Because it's just too slow. It's just too slow to get all that value out of it. And your deck can only have so many expensive cards. So like, there's better expensive cards to play. And if you also jam this in, then your deck's just too slow and you're going to die. And honestly, like, it's 12/12 stats, but it's not even distributed that well. Like, the 4/4 is fine, but the 2/2s are only going to be so well, and then the 1/1s aren't that impactful by the time you get there. I don't know. Dollmaster Dorian. This card's really cool. 5 mana 2/6, and when you draw stuff, you make stuff. Yeah. So you can run in like Minion Mage, like Book of Specters or whatever. I don't know. All kinds of, basically anything that draws stuff. The big combo I think is like Death Rattle Rogue. If you can make a Death Rattle Rogue work, you Dollmaster Dorian, roll the bones. So you draw like, let's say you draw like 3 or 4 cards on average. So it's 7 mana, draw 3 or 4 cards, get a 2/6 and 3 or 4 1/1s with Death Rattles that hopefully do good stuff. But it's like, we haven't seen a Death Rattle Rogue like that yet. If you can make it work, put Dorian in and record yourself rolling the bones and put it on YouTube. But, yeah. I don't know. Cool card. It's probably better if you just like play it on curve and just hope shit happens, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what you do combo-wise with this, but it's a very cool card. Again, Greymane. Watch the first episode. Azalina Soul Thief. You take your opponent's hand. Stat-wise, complete garbage. So you're only playing this to take your opponent's hand. The idea is that, dude, sentences are getting hard by the end of these. You run out of cards, and then you take your opponent's cards to have more cards. But the problem, so it's like a Divine Favor effect. But the problem with that is that Divine Favor draws you more cards that you put in your deck that help you kill your opponent. If you're taking your opponent's hand after you've run out of stuff, if it's like a control player, you're going to have like removal spells and shit that aren't going to help you close the game at all. So you just have the 7 mana 3/3 in your deck. And it's just, I think it's going to be clunky. I hope the card's bad, because if it's good, that just means there's more Divine Favor going around and it's neutral, and I don't want it. But it should be bad. It should be bad. Then we have the Curator. This time he draws Rush, Lifesteal, and Death Rattle, and he doesn't have Taunt. Not having Taunt's really bad. He should have kept that, because that was really helpful. Without Taunt, they can just kind of ignore it. 7 mana 6/6 is a pretty bad play. But drawing Rush, Lifesteal, and Death Rattle is really interesting. There's a lot of powerful Death Rattle minions. There's a decent number of Rush minions, but we'll probably get more in the future that'll make that part more powerful. Same with Lifesteal, which is also struggling. Notable is like Tyrion. Tyrion's a Death Rattle. Burn Bristle's a Lifesteal. And Rush cards exist. So it's like, I don't know. I'm sure there's many decks where this can slot in and just be very powerful. Because drawing 3 is extremely powerful. Especially when you're drawing specific cards. And this is a nice spread of specific cards. And as we've mentioned before, there's a few cards that like check multiple boxes. So it's not even necessarily like a huge package to fit in. Yeah, the Curator's still super solid. Baku, watch the first episode. Alright, and that's it. That's all of the cards. Super excited for the set. I think it's going to be great, and nothing's going to change, and it's all going to be Q-Block and Aggro Paladin. And in the next video, I'm going to show you some bad decks that you can't play.